Monkeyverse! This is C, this is the time, this is the place, and you are now listening to FC3's Monkey Business, your one-stop shop for everything geeky. And since anything is geeky, if you love it enough, you never know what you are going to get, including a little tribute to the late Robin Williams, whose birthday would be 3 days from today, if he were still with us. So I'm just saying my little thing for Robin Williams because I love the man so much. This week, we'll be talking about the 1981 blockbuster Raiders of the Lost Ark. After that, stick around for our everyday hero and our question of the week. How's everybody doing this week?
Dun, 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 dun.
Great.
Dun, dun, dun.
Billy. Billy's in the...
Excellent.
Sorry.
See, I'm going to take a... I have the new thing because the Bud Light commercial, they've had that whole dilly. Now we've got Billy. So it's the same thing. It's all good. So, and then Tanya's with us as well. Hi,
Yes.
Tanya.
Hi.
Sherry and Chris are in the studio again.
Woohoo! Chris is eating.
Sorry, I was chewing.
That happens. And with us, for the first time in ages, we've missed your face so much. It's Sybil.
We haven't seen her since the con.
We have not seen you since convention. That's amazing.
Yeah, I haven't been up since convention.
But now you're here.
You suffered to go to Niagara Falls with me that night.
It was fun, though.
It was fun. I was exhausted coming back. I was like driving.
I am so glad you guys got to have that experience.
Oh,
Can I tell you
amazing.
that's a rip
I
to
was
know.
jealous.
So
I was exhausted.
I'm Italian. You're jealous? I'm Italian.
What did you do?
Tell us.
Oh, after convention weekend, we took Catherine Sutherland, the
Pink Power Ranger.
second Pink Power Ranger, up to Niagara Falls because it's only an hour and 10 minutes away from Rochester. So at 6:30, we left the convention center. Sybil and I drove up with Catherine to...
It was a 6-hour road trip where we actually saw the falls for 10 minutes. Is that?
Yes.
Yes. Is that basically how it worked out?
Yeah.
Because we drove up, we walked around and saw the falls for 10 minutes. Then we drove back around Buffalo because I missed the turn for the 290.
Whoops.
Because I'm just like, wait, why is there
I've done that
water
too.
to the right-hand side of me? And Sybil goes, oh, we're going around Buffalo. I'm like, oh, okay.
Whoops.
So then we found, we were looking for places to eat. It was about, around 9 o'clock.
Around 9 o'clock, and she wanted steak.
Yes.
Steak.
It wasn't me. It was Catherine that wanted to steak.
Catherine wanted steak because she gets it every convention weekend.
She needs
always
cow.
gets her steak.
And
That's it.
she had asked about the Merton Steakhouse, and she's like, oh, I should have gone there instead of getting the lamb that she got through room service because she wasn't thrilled with it. So we stopped, and was it Longhorn?
Longhorn, yeah.
Longhorn and Buffalo.
Longhorn's is a good spread.
And
Longhorn's
had
good folk.
steak and had a nice conversation,
Very
giving
long.
us some
Very good tips. Yes.
tidbits and tips of how to
run a con?
how to run and be more successful.
Nice.
And then back to Rochester, and we were coming. I was saying we were coming into like the Churchville area, and it's just so monotonous and everything. Whatever. Catherine leans over.
Starts rubbing your shoulder.
Are you okay? I'm like, please don't start rubbing my shoulder. I'm like, because I'm going to pass out. That's what I'm thinking. I'm just like, I'm good. Really, I'm good. I'm like, as long as I can get her to the hotel. And then I'm like, Sybil, you can come up to the front. No. Sybil stayed in the back seat.
I stayed in the back seat. She drove me home.
I was
just like, I just don't want to move.
I'm tired. So, yeah, I didn't.
What? Exhausted after convention weekend? That's impossible.
I didn't get home until 12:30. So truly, it was a 6-hour round trip for 10 minutes.
God, but that's still a memory you guys have.
6 hours, 1-to-1 time or 2-to-1
With a
time
Power
with
Ranger.
a Power Ranger. So
Do Power
excited.
Rangers regenerate? Because we make this is the second Pink Ranger, the third Pink Ranger. Is it like the same person?
It
They just
really, they could be.
Yeah.
Time lords.
they're all Time Lords.
They're all Time Lords.
We're gonna have to ask Ray. I'm thinking it'll blow his mind.
I think it would.
We'll watch Ray's head
totally blow
explode.
his mind. Tell him they're all Time Lords.
Yeah, and that's it.
And they were all originally on Voltron. So
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes, go Voltron Force.
absolutely.
And they had that whole Red Ranger movie, and they were all together.
Oh,
so.
all
That's a
the Red
crossover.
Rangers, yeah.
That's like the multi-doctor story.
Exactly.
And we lost Chris. and even the Nazis
The
were
day
involved.
of the Power Rangers, the day of the Red Rangers,
day-
instead of the day of the Doctor.
Yeah. I remember when I was you.
He's really lost it.
He's going into the production booth.
Goodbye,
Yay.
Chris.
I just want to mark it down. I win. Anyway.
I will explain that after.
That's awesome. That's beautiful.
No, I'm good. So
Can we turn the mic live in the production booth just for a second? No. Couldn't do that to him.
it is.
So let's do some business, and then we can get to the matters at hand here. We have the first mention up, as always, is Patreon. What is Patreon? Patreon is a membership platform that makes it easy for you to support Monkey Business and the Flower City Comic Con. Please check us out, www.patreon.com/FC3ROC. All membership levels will include access to the Patreon-only blog, plus tons of great perks at all levels, including early podcast, Twitch, and Flower City Comic-Con information. And you want to help others find the show, because I am a professional speaker, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. This is the single easiest way to support the show and encourage others to listen. Every review will be thanked on the air, and any questions will be answered. We want this to be a conversation, so please send in your questions. And in addition to Apple Podcasts, you can find us on Google Play, iHeartRadio, YouTube, and Stitcher. Is there a place you find your podcast but can't find FC3 Monkey Business? Let us know. And please follow us on Twitter at FC3MB Podcast. If you do, say hi. We love it when you say hi, because we will say hi back. We usually have Sybil do that for us.
Hi.
Hi. See, just like that. So
I'm gonna have to tape that, so when somebody says hi, I can just do a little hi, a little hi.
And then you know what you do is
Wait,
you put the audio on the animation of Stitch. Right, so you get Stitch from Lilo and Stitch, and he's doing his wave, and then you got him, and you got Sybil in the background. Hi. I think that'd be a good mix. What do you think?
Yeah, it's like the little Stitch GIF I sent you earlier today.
Yes, rubbing his face, going, "Oh God, why am I dealing with this?"
It was cute.
I'm hoping that as of the day this particular podcast drops, that I've actually closed on my new house. I was supposed to have closed back on the 6th, but that didn't work out because everybody's ready to do this thing except for this one grant that I'm getting.
Yep.
And they're like, we'll get around to it. I'm like, please get around to it now because I want to go home. So I'm hoping that I'm recording this before it closed, and it's going to post after it closed. And I can be listening to it from my own home.
It will all be good.
It will all be. Well, I'm sure that it will be good. I just want it to happen now.
Patience is a virtue.
Patience is a gift that I have never been quite able to receive.
It's a gift you returned long ago.
Yes.
No, it's not a gift. It's a GIF.
It's a gift.
It's a GIF. Okay.
And it's from Firefly.
Oh, thank you. It's from episode 14 of Firefly, one of the ones that never got aired.
No, Patience was a character.
Oh, that's
in the
right.
first
I believe
episode.
she's going to shoot me again.
I have sent that to you
Yes, you have.
2 years ago.
Yes, I remember it now.
Or no, a year ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
It was last con.
I do believe that woman intends to shoot me. It's in reference to somebody else who probably will if they ever get an opportunity. Anyway, on that happy and pious note, we're going to take a break, Billy. And when we come back, we are going to be talking about the 1981 blockbuster, Raiders of the Lost Ark. You will never see snakes in the same way ever again. Kick a droid, fly the Falcon through an asteroid. What? What?
Wrong movies.
Just remembering the song. It was very good.
I remember playing this in band in school.
Yes. This is a requisite. You hear this song, you hear this theme, and you're like, I have to go on an adventure now. I have to go do something. I have to go explore something.
It's very suspenseful music. Like, let's go do something now. Let's go.
It's John Williams. What do you want?
Yes.
Can I tell you, Riker when he was 2, could tell the difference if it was Star Wars or Indiana Jones, and he would tell us which one it was.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Then you got to add Superman in too.
Yes. Yes, I do.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually the theme to Superman is part of my my pre-game ritual whenever I go down to Warcraft. I have to listen to that just for whatever stupid reason. It's just it doesn't feel like a complete game session unless I've listened to that thing. Anyway,
I'm very sorry.
Here we go.
Very sorry.
I have a write-up I'm going to read now.
You
I'm going to
do?
ignore you.
The
year is
maybe you're
1936. Renowned archaeologist and expert in the occult, Dr. Indiana Jones, is hired by the U.S. government to find the Ark of the Covenant, which is believed to still hold the 10 Commandments, which can hold the key to human existence. Unfortunately, agents of Adolf Hitler are also after the Ark. Indy and his ex-flame Marion escape from various close scrapes in a quest that takes them from Nepal to Cairo. That's a good write-up. That's an awesome write-up. And along the way, hijinks ensue.
You should be a producer.
Shenanigans, yes.
Really? You think I could be a producer?
I think you
I
could
think
be a
you could be.
producer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll be a producer.
Oh,
Hey,
there
maybe
go.
you already are. It's amazing how that works out.
You could write and stuff.
Yeah. It was great because the new Paramount Network actually did a Indiana Jones the a marathon of all 4 of the current movies on July 4th. So I was watching it back to back to back to back to back while I was cleaning the house before the July 4th party.
Well, we watched it and then shut everything off. Mm-hmm. And then Kylie came over and we watched it again.
There you go.
So we watched Raiders twice that day.
I think I watched Raiders twice. I even sat through Temple of Doom.
No, first 15 minutes I turned it off. I'm like, I cannot do this.
What do you mean
cannot
you even
this.
said that? That's for some reason that's no. It's
You love
awesome.
Temple of Doom?
I love Temple of Doom.
That's
Now,
the one
love
that my son,
Temple of
that
Doom.
We will talk about
I'm with
Temple
you,
of Doom in
Billy.
a little bit, but
I like
today's
them all,
episode,
so
Love Temple of Doom.
of them all, Lost Crusade is my favorite
Last
of the 4.
Crusade.
Last
Yeah.
Crusade.
Last
was-
Crusade, excuse me. Yeah, Last
It could've
Crusade is
been
my
Lost.
favorite of the 4. Yeah,
When
wow.
I'm the dog,
And I-
Indiana.
That's
That's
it.
an excellent.
The dog.
I must ask you a
And you
question,
know
but
what's
I'm
really-
shaving it for later.
You know what's really funny about that particular line is the name Indiana came from a dog.
Yes. It was George Lucas's dog.
No,
Or
it
was
was-
Steven Spielberg's dog? Somebody's
no,
dog.
it was another person's dog.
Okay.
But it was a woman's dog. But that dog was also the inspiration for Chewbacca.
Right.
Oh.
So that dog has created 2 of the most legendary characters in modern cinema.
And his name was originally Indiana Smith.
Right. But then there was a conflict.
That doesn't sound right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Steven Spielberg
doesn't work.
hated it. Steven
Yeah,
Spielberg
it doesn't.
hated it.
No.
It's because they didn't have Hugo Weaving.
Agent Smith. Hello, Dr. Jones. Anyway.
You know what? I could absolutely see Red Skull being in that.
Yeah. Now, here's the thing. Let's talk about this movie from the scratch, because Harrison Ford was well known at this point as Han Solo, but had not really had the career yet that Harrison Ford has today. All right, so he had American Graffiti, he had Star Wars, he had Empire Strikes Back. He did not have Return of the Jedi yet. I don't believe, because Jedi was 83, wasn't
Yep.
it? All right, and then he had a couple of other minor movies, but he was not, the Harrison Ford that we know and love, or at least tolerate today. So here he is in his first real starring role. I mean, this was him being, and apparently George Lucas had great trepidation about casting him.
Do you know why?
It was he called him his Bobby or something like
Yeah,
that.
he didn't want Harrison Ford to be turned into. No, it wasn't Kubrick. It was Scorsese. Who kept hiring Robert De Niro.
Right. He didn't
So,
want
and
Harrison
he
Ford to
started
be
with
George
people-
Lucas's Bobby De Niro.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. So he and Spielberg wanted him right from the beginning.
Yes.
He kind of always envisioned him. So do you know who they offered it to when George said no, we can't use Harrison?
It was Tom Selleck, wasn't it?
Tom Selleck.
And the only reason he didn't take is because it was conflicting with Magnum PI.
With Magnum PI.
Or else we would have had an entirely different.
Mustache.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mustache.
With Indiana Jones and his mustache.
Yes.
Right up there with Sam Elliott and his mustache, which
We
gets a
named the
co-starring credit.
mustache Indiana.
But I think it was great because it sets it off right off the beginning of the movie. It has that feel of the old serials, what George Lucas always likes to emulate. Mm-hmm. And that whole first opening sequence, you see the 2 assistants, the 2 guys who are like guides and assistants along the way. The 2, or they're not even natives; they're just kind of along for the ride. But you always see Indy from behind or in shadow.
Yeah.
And then there's that scene where the guy just pulls the gun on him and the whip comes out and he steps out, and then Harrison Ford steps out of the shadows and you see Indiana Jones for the first. It's a great scene.
It is. It's
with
a
the
great
John
scene.
Williams music and the scene and the cinematography of it. It's like, okay, that's an entrance.
There are so many things in this film that, looking back now, for people who didn't see this when it first came out, when we saw it, it was when it first came out. This was a lot of really new stuff.
Yeah.
Now they're tropes now. Everybody does it. But this is where it started.
Right,
Which I
exactly.
love. Did you know where they got the ideas for that opening sequence?
Tell me, because you're the trivia queen.
Yeah, I am the trivia queen. My mother always called me the walking encyclopedia of
And I had
useless
stuff
knowledge.
to add to it, too, which is great.
Okay. It's partly based on a classic Disney Ducks adventure comic book, who both George Lucas and Steven Spielberg were big fans of. So I thought that Billy would find that interesting.
I
that it
do,
was
and it's
based
funny
on that.
because the movie in general plays homage to the old serials of the 40s.
Yeah.
Which,
Right.
when I was a kid, for some reason, a lot of them used to run on TV. So on Saturdays, since there was no cable, and being the nerd I am, I used to watch like the Black Widow. Like they'd have the chapters every Saturday afternoon, and I'd wind up watching those. So this style of movie was like reliving, even though at the time this movie was released, I was 15. So at this point, it was like reliving me being 9 or 10.
Yeah.
Because I used to watch the old serials.
Yeah.
Well, the best part was they do all that with the idol and the big boulder coming down after him.
Right.
When they started the series DuckTales,
Yeah,
they did that in the opening as well.
Yeah.
So it was an homage to themselves through
Yeah.
Indiana Jones.
And it's funny because Chip and Dale, the Rescue Rangers, one was dressed as Indiana Jones, the other one was dressed as Tom Selleck's Magnum.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah, it is. It totally is.
It's amazing how everything kind of
about
ties
that.
together.
And actually, to circle back around to Tom Selleck.
Yeah.
No, a few years after Indiana Jones and Raiders, he wound up making sort of a Raiders of the Lost Ark ripoff called
there was- they did.
High Road to China, I think was.
Well, there was
the
that
name.
High
I
Road
just
China,
saw
but there
it.
was also an episode of Magnum PI where he does the whole archaeology thing.
Legend of the Lost Ark, which parodied Raiders of the Lost Ark.
That's
complete
it.
with the hat, whip, and booby traps.
So it's amazing how everything kind of circles in on itself now.
Yeah, a lot of the actors that they considered for the role went on to play similar characters.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I just thought was really interesting.
Alfred Molina's first movie, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, it is. And you know what his first scene was? The spiders.
The Spiders. See, that would have ended my acting career pretty much right there on the spot.
I guess originally they just had male tarantulas on them, but they wouldn't move.
Okay.
So they had to introduce a female tarantula so that they would move on him.
They're all getting their freak on at that point. See,
Eight-legged freak on.
eight-legged freak on.
And that's why he went on to become Dr. Octopus.
That's it right there. Alfred Molina would go on to other eight-legged things. But man, I'm telling you, no, if I walked in and like, this is your first movie role. Yes, you're going to be with the Harrison Ford. Awesome. And we're going to have spiders all over you. I quit.
No!
I'm out. Bye.
There's
No.
nothing to fear but fear itself.
And spiders. And spiders.
And snakes. It had to be snakes.
snakes.
It has to be.
Why does it have to be snakes?
And we'll get to that part because I want to talk about that because I've actually had some real world where that quote has actually popped up into my head during my job as an inspector for the city. All right. Anyway.
And there were cobras. But they were from G.I. Joe.
There
so
you go.
It didn't matter.
Yeah. So we just,
It was totally different.
Yeah, where was I going?
I don't know where you're going.
I don't know where I'm
Roll off.
going anymore. So yes, the first scene where he's going through and the mystique, and the hint that he knows all of this stuff and he's this expert explorer that he's seen all these things before. As he's going through and he's bypassing booby traps and he's preparing himself for these things that could kill anybody. But he's Indiana Jones. And he's going to get past it. And, the whole, like you said, the scene where he dumps the bag onto the pedestal to replace the gold idol. And it sets up this great villain, the French archaeologist Belloc, who is his nemesis through the whole thing. It's like, it was interesting to see Belloc. He was that first villain who really wasn't a villain. He was just a little bit more ruthless than the others. He wasn't going out to try and hurt people. He was just like, no, I'm going to get the good stuff first. Or I'm going to let somebody do the work for me, But then you saw like the interaction with Marion in the desert. You can tell he was just trying to get to this goal. He wasn't trying to be, I don't think he was
evil. I think he was an opportunist.
Yes.
Yes.
It was all about the money,
Mm-hmm.
which made him the perfect foil to Indiana Jones, who it was. This belongs in a museum.
Yes, this belongs for everybody.
Yes.
Belloc
So
for
it's the-
president 2020.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, it's the
That would
difference
be an
between
improvement.
socialism and capitalism.
Yes.
Yeah,
So-
pretty much.
Yes.
So where do you want to go? Just want to talk trivia while we talk about the movie?
The boulder scene.
The boulder scene.
Harrison Ford actually did that. He had to do it 10 times.
How
Because
many?
he was able to outrun it.
10 times.
9 times. Oh.
He kept outrunning it,
Yeah.
so they had to keep shooting it.
So he had to
Because
slow down.
they had five cameras, and they had to get it from 5, and they did it twice, but 5 different cameras, so he had to do it 10 times.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Just to get the whole illusion of the boulder being right hot on his heels.
And can we talk for a moment about Molina's unibrow? Oh my God!
Alfred Molina, the
Oh
The guy with the spiders on his back.
Oh, yeah, that was...
Wow.
Yes, he's full on Frida Kahlo.
Wow.
He was channeling his inner Frida Kahlo, which kind of like that it fits because then he's in a movie about Frida Kahlo later on in his career with Selma Hayek. So there's this whole unibrow hinging his career together. Exactly. Yeah. It's we should get Alfred Molina and talk about the unibrow.
We should all get unibrows.
And just talk to him about the unibrow. To the point
where
that's
it.
We don't want to talk about working with Selma Hayek. We don't want to talk about all the great things you've done, all the different characters you played. But let's just talk about unibrow. No, that would be like the shortest podcast ever.
And it would be funny as hell.
And we were hung up on again.
Well, can I tell a quick story then?
Yes.
Go for it.
On the Brother We show, one day we interviewed Ron Palillo, who, if you don't know who Ron Palillo is, he played Horseshack on Welcome Back, Kotter.
Okay.
And he left as the producer the night before the interview. He left me a message saying, "I do not want to be referred to as Horseshack. I am Ron Palillo, and I am not Horseshack." I guess he'd had people calling him Horseshack throughout the interview.
His entire life.
So I told Weeze and the rest of the gang this. And so for the interview, we pretended that we didn't know that he played Horseshack and that he was just this author, this children's book author with a book out. So what else have you done? Oh, we see you were on As the World Turns. And finally we made him say, "I'm Horseshack from Welcome Back, Kotter. I played Horseshack." And we're like, "Oh, was he the black kid?"
Oh, that's just evil.
Oh, that's awesome.
Evil.
That's phenomenal.
Oh,
how fast did he hang up on you guys?
No, he
That was
didn't.
towards the end of the interview.
Yeah.
But you're not having him back on the show anytime soon.
Well, we didn't, and then he died.
That's right. He did. He did pass away recently. Wow. Ay. All right, let's talk some more about the Raiders of the Lost Ark. And
so the dog was a Malamute. Indiana.
We named the dog after Indiana.
It was Marsha Lucas's. I looked it up.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So it was a Lucas dog.
Okay.
Yes. I think that was
Indiana Lucas.
And the Temple of Doom. And the Temple of Elpo. Anyway.
It was the biggest grossing film of 1981.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Wow.
Not bad at all. Well, I
By a
remember seeing it a couple of
large
times.
margin.
Yeah, I remember seeing it a couple times in the theater because back then, DVD was not a thing.
Drive-in.
Yeah.
Drive-in.
I didn't get
Drive-in.
to see it until much, much later.
Yes.
Well, you're a little bit
I was
younger.
-4 when the movie came
Yeah, I
out.
was going to
You're a
say,
little younger than
1981 is pre-Sybil.
This is pre-me.
Well, it was like Star Wars. I saw that at Drive-In, too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we had VHS tapes and beta tapes, and that's how we watched.
Laserdisc and...
I don't think we had...
No,
well,
Laserdiscs
Reel-to-reel.
came out later.
Yeah, we didn't have Laserdisc, but we did have beta tapes.
We never had
8
betas. We just had
tracks.
VHS. So.
So let's see. We got the scene where he gets the idol, and then he runs away, and then the natives chase him, and he jumps into the plane, and you find the snake in the plane because this is the original snake in a plane.
Snake on the plane, yep.
And
he didn't swear about it.
no, he didn't.
I hate snakes.
Yes, it's just Reggie. This is the pilot says his buddy.
It's just my pet.
And how do you have your buddy fly you down in the plane and not notice the snake on the way down?
Maybe the snake was with the pilot at the beginning.
That's possible.
I love that. I just absolutely was amazed by, they're in an area where obviously there are
Lots of big snakes.
dangerous people in the area. And what is the pilot doing?
Fishing.
He's sitting there.
He's sitting there fishing.
Just hanging out.
Yep. I think that was
like,
phenomenal.
What are you doing?
And then it took him a while to even move because, he had a great catch finally.
Yeah. He was struggling because he's like, "Oh, come on, something's biting.
See,
Something's
it's these
biting."
little moments that I just love about this
And I
movie.
think that's all the way throughout the whole movie.
Yeah.
Like the follow-up sequence where you see him in his classroom, you see Indy in his classroom teaching, and you're like, "Wait, isn't he like some great adventure? What? He's a college professor? Are you kidding me? Really? What?" And he's interacting with his students, and then had that one student interacting with him right back. And
oh, come on, Tanya. If you had been in that classroom, wouldn't you have done that?
Oh, that's why I'm just like, oh.
We watched it with Kylie, and she's like, "What's that on her eyelids?" I said, "Love you." I said, and I gotta say, if I had been in that classroom, I would have done it too.
Now begins the Harrison Ford Appreciation Hour, starring Tanya Metris and Sherry Elbersky.
I think I would have, too.
Yeah.
Well, did you notice that there was
Co-starring
like
Christopher
one
Smith.
male student in the class coming out, and he was the one that left
Put
the
the apple
on the
He
desk?
He put the apple on the desk.
So that would have been you.
Originally, the character, I guess,
Nerd, can't help it.
was supposed to be like a James Bond character, where he was going to be this big Lothario, and in the scene where
Marcus
comes in to his house and they're talking, the reason why he's dressed like that is there was a woman.
Oh,
he was entertaining company in the other room, and there was supposed to be a scene of him getting her out.
Okay.
When they started talking.
But they decided to...
you know what, we want him a little more wholesome than that.
All right, that works.
So it set him up to be a bigger nerd.
Yes.
Let's talk about the de-evolution of Marcus real quick.
Oh, my God, yes.
Because in the first movie, he was very calm and very... intellectual and dignified.
5 years ago, I would have gone after it.
Yeah, and then in Last Crusade, he Marcus the bumbling. He got lost in his own museum. I'm like, wait a minute, what happened to Marcus? Marcus was cool.
Maybe
and now
he was always like that, and they just didn't. Yeah, he just hit it well.
I guess so, but I don't know. That particular character change from one movie to the next never sat well with me.
It sat fine with me because I know people like that. They are perfectly wonderful at their job and bumbling idiots at everything else.
Terry?
That's just cooking.
Our friend Terry, who is one of the smartest women I have ever met. She is amazingly smart, capable.
And talented.
A musician. She's a DJ. She can't follow a recipe that has more than 2 steps.
Oh boy!
When she's my cousin Melanie's best friend.
Okay.
And when they had an apartment,
Terry.
Melanie and I would come. Hey, hi Terry, we love you. We would come back to the apartment, and Terry would be waiting, and she's like, Mel, will you make me chicken? Terry, it's frozen. You just put it in the oven, but it's so much better when you make it.
It is so much better when someone else cooks.
Yes, it is.
Oh boy!
But that's our Terry.
Yeah, she's just an amazing person, and it's just really
fun. Oh, and then there was
really
the battleship incident.
Oh.
Jesus.
Melanie was teaching her to play Battleship, and Terry was kicking her butt. And finally, she was killing Melanie. Melanie hadn't hit a single thing. And finally, Melanie, in frustration, goes, "What are you doing? Moving your ships?" And she's like, "Oh, you mean I can't? They're battleships. They move."
I do like that idea, though.
She thinks so differently. It's wonderful.
So that's what we're saying, Marcus.
Yes.
He's just on a different level than everybody else.
Yes.
Well, I think everybody has their strengths and weaknesses.
You know, when you step outside your normal atmosphere, you're not necessarily the same.
Well, okay. And a life lesson by Christopher Spink.
Thank you very much.
That's nice.
Like a
He'll be having his own self-help show on the Mighty Monkey Network, opposite Laura Ingraham.
Who?
Dr. Laura.
Oh my God.
Of Fox News fame. Yeah.
Oh, I knew her long before that.
Yeah. Yes, Sybil.
Well, we can build a following.
Oh, you're not raising your hand. You're stretching. Okay. All right. So where are we? Other than in Rochester.
Do you know what I really love reading about?
Tell me what you really love reading about.
With any trivia, how they did different effects, especially sound effects, I just find fascinating.
Were you reading the one about the giant boulder?
I've read that one. I was actually just reading the one about how they made the sound of the body blows.
Most body blows you hear were created by hitting a pile of leather jackets with a baseball bat.
And the sound of them removing the
big block.
The block off when they
off
found
of
the art.
Toilet tank lid.
Tank lid.
Oh, jeez.
I find
the insight into movie magic.
And just because I have to mention it, because Lana, who was not really paying attention, I don't know why she did not find this movie more interesting than she did. But the one thing she did, she was playing a game on her phone. And she went, Wilhelm scream. My daughter can pick out a Wilhelm scream from anywhere.
Yes.
And she loves finding them.
I want to know more about the Wilhelm scream.
Me too.
Tiny, look up Wilhelm scream.
You don't know what it is?
It's a very famous scream that was recorded and used over and over and over and over again.
I'm assuming that the guy named Wilhelm was behind it.
I don't even finish typing in W-I-L, and Helm scream comes up as
because Google is listening.
Yes, Google knows.
It has been used in 382 movies as of April 2018.
Oh, jeez. The same scream.
And it was probably used 14 or 15 times.
Falls from a great height or thrown from an explosion. Mm-hmm. It's most likely voiced by actor and singer Sheb Wooley.
Sheb Wooley. Oh, sure. He did Purple People Eater.
Oh, wow. That's how I know that name. Oh, my God.
Thank you, Billy.
Yes. Okay.
Awesome.
There's a YouTube channel that Lana's obsessed with called Everything Wrong With. Mm-hmm. And they do everything wrong with, and they'll just go through movies, and they're so much fun. But they always point out the Wilhelm screams and everything. So because of that, Lana knows the Wilhelm scream.
Okay, Billy's going to have to pull up the actual sound of the Wilhelm scream because I can't do it on this one.
Let me
do that for break.
Yeah.
Just the scream before we go to break.
Yeah.
One question though, if we're done with done with sound effects for now, Karen Allen. She was great in it. Her first big break, or maybe even her first movie, was Animal House.
Yes.
Right.
So how did she wind up being Marion?
They saw her in Animal House and were very impressed with. George Lucas saw her in that and was.
She was
very
also
impressed.
one of the finalists for Princess Leia.
She was.
Wow, I didn't
She
know
And that was something we were
Yes.
talking about a lot yesterday.
It's funny. When we talked about The Last Jedi, and we talked about
Recasting.
You were on the. I'm very against recasting it.
But if they do it,
She would be phenomenal.
well, why not? It would be a perfect callback.
She would be phenomenal because she's amazing, and I could.
She's aged really well, too. She's just as beautiful a woman now.
Normally, when you have an iconic character like that, you can't see anybody else. I mean, you see the list of this person. Like no. Her, I could have seen. She would have been a great Princess Leia.
Yeah.
I think some of the snark wouldn't have come off quite as well, but
Marion's very snarky.
Yes.
yeah, but just the subtlety of the snark that.
See, Carrie Fisher has that subtle, sarcastic nature where if you see Karen Allen through the lens of Marion's very aggressive, very direct, very.
You haven't seen Animal House, have you? She was very snarky in Animal House.
Mm-hmm.
Strangely enough, John Landis is in town tonight at the screening of Animal House at the Dryden.
Really?
Nice.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
He's doing a Q&A at the Dryden tonight.
Nice.
Cool.
He got to do a picture with DiGiorgio when he was on Channel 13.
Yeah, I met John Landis a few years ago. He was in town for something.
That's cool.
And he was a great guy. So
Yeah.
I thought you said drive-in.
Dryden.
Sorry,
it's a
Yeah, I heard drive-in.
I got drive-in on
I'm
the mind
sorry.
here.
It's my bad Rochester accent.
Nah, you're fine, man.
Yep. Oh, and did you notice that Indiana, no matter what happens to him, he never loses his hat?
And
it's a thing.
Yeah,
it was said something about.
Yeah, it's a callback to the 40s and 50s serials that Billy was talking about, where it was
the heroes' hats stayed on their head.
Never loses
they
it.
never moved.
Yep.
It was done for continuity reasons, but it's also considered poor taste for a gentleman to be without his hat in certain situations, even on the silver screen.
Yep.
Oh, yeah, back to effects.
Okay.
That where you're talking about the spirit effects at the climax were achieved by shooting mannequins underwater in slow motion through a fuzzy lens to achieve an ethereal quality.
I was about to ask what a Funzie lens was. But
a Fonzie lens.
A Fonzie lens? Hey.
Sit on it, you nerd.
Good God. That was one of the neatest effects at the time.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was just
amazing. You didn't see a lot of
Scared
stuff like that in the early
crap out of
80s.
me.
No.
Yeah.
That was good stuff.
But to get back to Marion.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. That scene in The Well of Souls when she first notices the snakes and she climbs him.
Yeah.
I love that scene so much.
Wasn't that improv? I
have no
I don't remember exactly if I heard a story or not, but I thought that she was supposed to just kind of cling to him.
The one scene that was improv was the scene in the tent between her and Balak. They created that scene because basically all it said in the script was that she was supposed to change into a sexy dress to raise the I don't know what they thought they were going to do in the Well of Souls scene.
Yeah,
where it was just supposed to I don't know, sexual tension. I have no idea because there was such not a sexy scene in any way, shape, or form. No.
Snakes are not a turn on.
But there was nothing saying why she got into the dress, how she got into the dress, for what reason. So she and that actor came up with that scene,
and
she thought it would be a fun throwback to the drinking contest scene from the first.
Where you drank the one person on the table, now I'm going to drink this guy into the table
and
too.
It totally doesn't work for her.
No, definitely not.
So I just thought that was great, that scene. And oh my God, when Tot comes in and he pulls out that thing, and it looks like it's a weapon, and they're like,
yeah, it looks like he's about to do like Nazi nunchucks, and then he whips it around into a hanger. It's like, wait, what? And everybody's like, yeah.
Even Malak looks scared.
Yeah, it's like, wait a minute, somebody's getting waffled with that thing. What the heck?
See, that's the thing I love about this movie is
there's so many little things.
Little things. Funny thing, the scene on the boat with where doesn't it hurt?
Yeah, here.
And
he points at his elbow. But that scene is one of the
falls
best.
asleep.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that scene also has one of the best ad-lib lines I've always loved.
Yes.
It's not the years, it's the mileage. You know, he did not in the script, and he threw it out there, kind of like just deadpans it, and it was perfect. I mean, I've used that line on several occasions.
At the time this movie was released, there wasn't anything like it, even though it threw back to movies decades ago. It was just a fun, old-fashioned action piece.
An epic adventure romp.
And I'm old enough to where I saw it at the theater a couple times when it first came out. And nowadays, you can't imagine movies not being like that. There not being movies like that.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So this took an old-style movie. Why didn't movies like that get made, say, between 1945 and 1980?
That's an excellent question. I wonder if, and there's probably a podcast entirely in that conversation alone, but you wonder if there's that transition between the 40s to the 80s, and you have all these different cultural eras coming through.
In the 50s, there were a lot of Westerns.
Yeah.
Did we get too cool during the 60s and 70s?
I think we got too cool during the 60s and 70s. Well, you had the free love, and you had psychedelic, and you had rock, was coming into its own. Rock music was coming into its own. And with
disco.
The Vietnam War and everything like that, it was cool to be counter. It was cool to be opposite of the norm. So I'm wondering if there was just
during the 70s,
a rejection.
You had way more serious cinema. I guess The Godfather,
art
and
cinema,
Apocalypse Now,
2001, Space Odyssey.
I just blame disco.
For
everything.
Blaming disco for everything is pretty easy.
Yes.
But
so is Star Wars the gateway to making a movie like Raiders?
I think so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Especially because what it did is it emboldened the guy who made it. Mm-hmm. Because this is the brainchild of George Lucas, and he wanted Star Wars to be as Buck Rogers. Well, now this is his Errol Flynn. Mm-hmm. He was getting an opportunity to just kind of go ahead and have his fun. Mm-hmm. So
one thing I didn't notice for years, and maybe I'm wrong about this in my rewatch of this, an early plot point is the monkey, the traitor monkey.
Right.
Yeah.
And then he's poisoned and he's dead. Was that their way of just saying, we don't want to deal with the monkey anymore and have a reason for him to be around and
I think
let's kill the monkey. So
I think the monkey was kind of, they wanted to, we saw the poison. How are we going to know? It was just,
how's he going to figure it out?
Yeah.
So somebody had to die. Might as well be the monkey.
No, it was the monkey's life lesson. You were a traitor. You set them up to be hurt and captured.
Let all little monkeys from here on in
learn that lesson.
I thought maybe Lucas and Spielberg, this monkey's a pain in the ass. How are we going to keep him in the movie? Let's write him out of the movie now.
So do we write that monkey into the family tree of Simi?
Yes.
Okay.
I have trivia about the
grandfather.
So traitor monkey
had a great uncle who was a double agent in World War II.
Yes, Nazi
Yes,
sympathizer.
Nazi sympathizer.
Monkey.
I have trivia about the monkey.
Tell me the trivia about the monkey.
Well, you can't get monkeys to chitter on command, so they actually had somebody who was doing, and also he made a lot of verbalizations. The man who did that was, what was his name? Frank Welker.
Frank, very famous cartoon voice actor.
And he went on to play
Scooby-Doo?
Abu in Aladdin.
Spider-Man.
You know what? I thought all those squeaks sounded familiar.
Yes, that was Abu.
That's funny.
That's awesome.
That's
and the monkey was wearing the same outfit.
Pretty much.
Well, yeah, they were.
Yes.
Except for the fez. Was
No
the
fez.
Indiana Jones monkey was not wearing a fez,
No
I don't
fez.
think.
No fez.
No fez.
Okay. Which would definitely not make Matt Smith's doctor happy.
No.
No fez.
Fezes are cool.
Yes, they are.
But they got the monkey to do the
it was like took on like an hour to do it or something.
and they put a grape on a string
And so he kept reaching for it.
to get him to reach for it.
That's hilarious. Poor thing had to go through all that,
Yep.
only to be killed off by a date. Bad dates.
Bad.
Well, it was his owner's fault. His owner poisoned him.
Yep.
It was sad. It was very sad.
The one-eyed.
Oh, I'm just looking at some of the trivia
Why?
because Harrison did almost all of his own stunts in there.
Yes.
The out-of-control airplane actually ran over Harrison Ford's knee, tearing the ligaments.
Jesus, that poor guy keeps getting killed.
Rather than to submit to Tunisian healthcare, he had his knee wrapped in ice and carried on. Kept on going.
He also did the under the truck
thing
scene.
Right.
The truck was up higher and the road was cut out.
Yep. And
well, no, that was a combination of him and stuntmen.
No, it wasn't, because his stuntmen, he had 3 stuntmen.
Yes.
One was the driver.
Right.
One, and the other 2 were ones that got knocked off the truck. So they weren't available.
No, they were
do it.
Well, they were doing body double work. So there are parts, because I remember seeing this in a behind the scenes thing where it was him for the first part, because they were doing it up close, so you had to see his face. But when the character of Indy is more along the lines of the midway and towards the back of the truck, and then when he flings out the back, there was a couple of the stuntmen were doing that.
But he was being dragged.
Yes, he was being dragged at one point during a close up.
He goes, "I've got bruises for that."
Yes,
and the quote that I always remember from that was, "If it had been dangerous, we would have filmed it later."
Right. Yeah. Not. We wouldn't have filmed it at all. We would have filmed it later, so it didn't interrupt the rest of shooting. Yeah.
Yep. And I'm sorry, the music.
John Williams
in this movie, just they don't do that anymore.
My wife and I were talking about that exact point while we were watching it. Is that nowadays they use already recorded songs.
Yeah.
Back then they orchestrated. It was that and Star Wars and Superman, the movie we brought up. There's a whole score to it.
And what's the commonality? John Williams.
But the thing that got me was that, and so often, even in films from that time period, is the music. The music in this movie was almost like another character.
Yes.
It was right up front. It wasn't background music. It was right there.
I don't know if this is covered in the trivia or not, but I remember John Williams talking about how everything in all the movies he scores, everybody has a theme of some sort.
Yes. Oh, and you can hear them.
Like in Star Wars, there's a Luke theme, there's a Leia theme, there's a Force theme, there's a Vader theme, there's the Imperial March, and the way he blends them together. I have a friend of mine whose brother is a music savant and was able to pick together all of the relationships in Star Wars because of the music. So he knew Luke and Leia were related. He knew about Vader and Luke. He knew all about that just because the music told it to him. And so I remember John Williams talking about that the Ark even had its own theme. So throughout the course of the movie, you're hearing kind of like little hints and hints and pieces of it, or off-key versions of it, and you don't hear it in its full glory until Sala and Indy pull it from the crypt for the first time, and you see it in all of its full glory for the very first time. That's when you hear the full Ark theme. But I mean, it's just the way that John Williams weaves music together. Is I think there's going to be nobody who will ever be able to do it like that ever again.
No. The person who did the score for Buffy the Vampire Slayer did the same thing.
Okay,
and I think he must have taken that.
Absolutely, everybody learns. If you're paying attention, you can learn from that
because he had themes there, and if you notice, there not only wasn't just a Marion theme and an Indiana theme, there was
a harmony where they came together.
A romance theme for them, which was something that I'm totally blanking on his name, but the composer for Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Buffy had a theme, Angel had a theme. There was their romance theme.
Murray Gold has done the same thing with Doctor Who over the past 10, 11 years, is that everybody's got a theme. Each companion had their own theme. If he was going to do something especially Time Lordy, there was a piece of music that would pop up that was just a hearken to Gallifrey. Stuff like that. And so I think that the tribute to a good composer is making sure that it's like you just said, where the music is a character.
Yeah.
And so it's not just there for background drama or to set the mood. It becomes this additional entity in and of itself. And that's when you really know that you've got something good going on.
Yeah.
I will fully admit, watching this movie as a child, I loved the movie. I thought it was so intense, so great, amazing, great movie. Just rewatching it this week, I'm like, oh my god, this does not hold up. It's so cheesy.
Really?
That's what went through my head. But then the music
is what held it together.
Is what held it together. The only reason I enjoyed this movie as an adult is because of the music.
I think that the only thing for me that didn't hold up, I thought everything else held up. The fact that it was, even at the time, a period piece actually is very helpful for that. So it doesn't feel dated, is just those final last couple of special effects.
Okay.
The last couple ones.
The epic at the end.
Yeah, those were the only.
Yeah,
but I remember as a child, I couldn't even watch it.
Yeah.
I had to cover my eyes.
Yeah.
It
was freaky.
It was so awful. But
when the faces are melting and everything like that. Yeah.
And
That
the head
specifically bothered me.
exploding, that actually gave it an R rating. They had to put the flames over it to calm it down, or else
To mask it.
To mask it because it got him an R rating.
Really?
Yes.
That movie
Yes.
was R-rated at one
was.
point.
Yes.
Initial.
That's amazing. Okay. Well, I suppose I see it based on different cultures,
And it
different society thing.
It won an Oscar
Did it really?
for visual effects.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that's good. I did that. You're not used to a George Lucas movie winning actual Oscars because usually they're
It
like.
actually was nominated for Best Picture.
That's
but it didn't
amazing.
win. I forget what it won. 3 Oscars. I know one of them was
Visual effects.
Was visual effects.
Okay.
But the Saturn Awards swept the Saturn Awards.
Oh,
that
yeah.
year. Absolutely swept it.
Tanya, Madam Researcher,
Yes.
do we know when the Oscar awards were?
I'm looking for it right now.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, that's one thing I didn't put into our packets.
I'm looking for it.
Yeah, I remember like when I was a kid, when
there
the
it is.
faces started melting,
won
I remember turning
4
away
Oscars.
in fear.
It
won 4?
freaked me out when I was a kid. Like
But now-
the part where Marion is in with all of the skeletons.
Yeah.
That scared me so much as a
the
child.
boa coming out of the mouth?
And
I
then-
was like,
and then
I'm done.
When I watched it this week, I was laughing
Yeah.
so hard at how freaked out she was about the skeletons. I'm like, this is hilarious.
What I
But
thought
I remember
was,
as a kid, it was so
it was
freaky.
very scary.
Yes.
And what I thought was hilarious was watching it the other day. You can see the people kind of shaking
Yes.
the arms at him and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I thought that was
But
hysterical.
did you notice they cleaned up the scenes with the cobra?
Yeah.
You no longer see.
You don't see the
no longer
reflection.
See the reflection.
Yeah,
of
because
it.
we were looking for it, and I went,
I was
We're
looking
actually
not
looking
there.
I was
for
looking
that.
for it too.
We're
Yeah, so they
actually looking for
digitally
that.
took the. Now, Tanya, you said 4 Oscars?
4 Oscars. In 1982, Best Art Direction, Set Decoration, Best Sound, Best Film Editing, and Best Effects for Visual Effects.
Nice. See, so beating leather jackets with a baseball bat's going to win you an Oscar.
It was a winner for a Special Achievement Award to Ben Burtt and Richard Anderson for sound effects editing. And
Okay.
it was nominated for Best Picture, Best Director, Best Cinematography, and Best Music Original Score.
Now, on the versions you guys watched, I wound up watching on Amazon Prime.
We watched it, yeah.
I also have the DVDs, but rather than pull those out, it's on Amazon Prime.
There you go.
It seemed there seemed to be a lot of parts that would have looked good in 3D. Did they re-release this in 3D? And is
Not
that the
as far
version
as I
on?
know.
No, I haven't.
I was
Not that
wondering
I've
if they
heard.
remade it in 3, or sort of recut it like they've done a few other movies where they wound up doing a 3D version.
Luckily, Raiders of the Lost Ark apparently has not really received the touch of Lucas like Star Wars has been mutated
yes.
over the years. I maybe it might have, but it's very
there
obscure
were a
if
few
it did.
scenes, more than a few actually, that said, wow, that looks like they wanted to do that in 3D just now. So I didn't
Could
know
be
if
they
that
just
was the...
that's just the way they wanted it to film, was to feel that way because of the old 3D serials.
I'll tell you what threw me off, and I kind of just attribute it to, it's a harken back to the serials of old that sometimes they didn't make sense, but you're really not focusing on that detail. Was the chase scene when he takes over the truck that is carrying the ark, and he's the cars are chasing him. He comes running in on horseback, stuff like that, and just the way it goes from scene to scene throughout that chase, it made no sense to me. It's like they're out in an open desert, now they're on a cliff, now they're in a forest, now they're It's like, where'd the trees come when he was just in an open desert a moment ago? How did that guy
Especially
go
when
over
they
a cliff
said
when he
that-
was on a flat plain?
That they would be desert like 3 weeks or 6 weeks
Yeah,
in
desert
either
in 3
direction.
weeks.
And they
any
covered
direction.
a whole 6-week desert in a 5-minute scene.
Yeah.
It was just
So it's some
when
of
you're
that
when you're watching it the
continuity,
first
like
time.
going, "What?"
Yeah, when you're watching it the first time, you're not paying attention to that because the action's keeping your brain focused on what's going on in terms of the people. But when you've watched it 30, 40, 50, 60 times, I'm not admitting to anything at the moment. Then you start picking apart like, wait, where did that cliff come from? Wait, where did those trees come? Wait, how they? Okay, and I'll admit that I never knew how he figured out to drive into the place that would be camouflaged until I suddenly picked up on the line beforehand. I'll meet you at Omar's. Oh, okay, now I get it. Okay, how did he know to meet there at that particular spot? But then I heard the line.
Okay, let's talk about him for a second.
Him,
Sala.
Sala.
Okay.
I love Sala.
Okay,
That is a great character.
Okay, so as I said, Monk was watching this movie, sort of watching this movie, I'm like, Lana, look at him. I'm like, you know him.
Uh-huh.
I do.
John Rhys Davies.
Yeah, John Rhys Davies. I said, yes, you know him. Where do I know him from? I'm like, Lana, look at him. She has 3 movies that she loves.
Yes.
Lord of the Rings?
He was Gimli.
Uh-huh.
And then lesser known probably by you guys, but really big in our world, he was in a Julie Andrews film called Victor Victoria.
Yep.
Which Lana and I love. And he was
Come on,
in...
Julie Andrews.
Yeah,
God's sake.
Shannara Chronicles.
And speaking of Julie Andrews, he was in The Princess Diaries too.
Yes, he was. He was also in Sliders.
Yep.
Yes.
And
That's where I know him from.
Yeah, and a variety of other things. I mean, he's one of those character actors that's been in a ton of things.
But originally, that character was supposed to be played by Danny DeVito.
Was he really?
Yep.
Yes.
Wow,
No.
that would be so different if it was
That would be
DeVito.
an entirely different character.
He couldn't get out of it
Because of Taxi.
Because of Taxi.
Okay.
But then he went on to be in Romancing the Stone.
Danny DeVito was.
Yes.
Yes.
With
Romancing the Stone.
With
Love that movie.
with Michael Douglas.
Michael Douglas
Yes,
and
who
Kathleen Turner.
played a similar.
Yeah.
Think of all the films that would, if Raiders hadn't done it,
Yeah.
hadn't brought back the genre.
Yeah.
How many films wouldn't there be? There wouldn't be Alan Quartermain. There wouldn't be Romancing the Stone.
Well, no Alan Quartermain probably would have been a good thing.
The Librarian.
The Librarian I'll go with.
The Librarian movies probably wouldn't have.
Now, here's a question.
Yes.
Do you think they're going to remake Indiana Jones like they're doing a whole bunch of other old movies these
Well, there's
days?
going to be
I think
Indiana
they
Jones
are.
5 is actually happening.
Yes.
They're making a 5th indie movie.
Yes.
Even after the refrigerator?
Even after the refrigerator and Crystal Skull, yes. But it's going to be interesting for me because, Crystal Skull was, 50s, 60s,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So now
Yeah,
that Harrison Ford is in his 70s, does that mean it's going to be Indiana Jones and the Disco Ball of Doom?
Ooh.
Because think about it, because Indy was 30 in his 30s during the 30s, so we're figuring the Indiana Jones character was born probably around 1900, 1901, somewhere in that area. So if they're going to age him appropriately to be Harrison Ford's age, you're going to put him in the 70s.
Yeah.
So it's going to be something, kind of, contemporary to that age. And it's just going to be interesting to see that character who we've seen through World War II and we've seen in the post-World War II era. Now he's in the age of free love and disco. As cranky Harrison Ford, can we see what kind of the 5th movie where that's going to go at this point?
Oh, that's going to be interesting.
It's going to be interesting.
Is Shia LaBeouf going to be in it?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I hope not.
No.
So he gets a son and then loses a son? That's going to be weird.
Or maybe they recast it. I'd say
Probably.
it'd probably be a recast job, I would assume.
Yeah. I was not horribly impressed with Crystal Skull.
Well, no. I mean, here's the thing. Indiana Jones is the reverse Star Trek.
Yes.
Yes.
The odd-numbered Indiana Jones movies are awesome. The even-numbered Indiana Jones are
Are we gonna? I agree with you about Crystal Skull, but Temple of Doom I really love.
What is it about that of Temple of Doom that
from the
appeals to you?
opening scene with the jewel and the little thing in the nightclub? And you go to the plane where you got the raft out of the airplane through the roller coaster ride. I just love everything about that movie. I honestly do.
Now, I don't think it was a bad movie because there are people out there who will outright savage Temple of Doom.
I think they're wrong. I really love Temple of Doom. I think it's the funnest. I think it's the most exciting. I really enjoyed Temple of Doom a lot.
I thought it was interesting in the regards that Temple of Doom was set a year earlier than Raiders of the Lost Ark.
It's actually a prequel.
That's their way of not. They couldn't bring Karen Allen in.
Okay.
So they had to recast. They had to have a reason not to have her.
Okay. I didn't even
but
think of it
still
that
have
way.
a female interest. So they plus Spielberg got the cast as his girlfriend.
Yeah.
I think she's one of the things I object to the most.
Kate
in that
Capshaw?
That's
movie. I
she
really
wasn't
don't like
great,
her.
but
I really don't like
she
her.
wasn't great. But I thought the movie was so much fun. I mean, she was whiny and entitled, but it was,
After Marion, I thought her character was just such. a
her
letdown.
character was the weakest part of it. But I even enjoyed Short Round. Who doesn't?
Hang on, Dr. Joel. Hang on, lady. We're
See,
going for a ride.
Everybody
I touch
can do a
nothing. I
doc.
touch nothing. That's
Everybody
exactly.
can do a Short Round impression.
Yes.
Yes.
I liked him better in the Goonies.
But he doesn't get the Goonies without being in Indiana Jones.
That's true.
is
Was Temple of Doom before Goonies?
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
But the thing that I like best about Crystal Skull,
Yeah.
Marion was back.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what
See,
I like best
I
about
thought it was
too.
the aliens. They all touch supernatural and things that are not of this world.
Right.
So why does everybody have such a problem with there being aliens?
I have no problem with
ancient aliens.
That has been the biggest complaint I heard about Crystal Skull.
Yeah,
I didn't have a problem with the
They brought
aliens.
aliens in because everybody brings aliens into everything.
Yeah.
But then you look at
Come on, even look at
shows
the
like
Pixar
Ancient
movie
Aliens.
Bolt.
Yeah.
We can top this off.
Aliens.
So
It's aliens.
see, they missed it. They missed an opportunity though with Crystal Skull. If they're going to bring in aliens, they had to bring in Georgios. He could have played a cameo somewhere along the line with his freaking hair.
Just behind you, I was putting my hair up and doing that.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I love Marion.
Yeah, well,
really,
she's an
really
amazing character
love
and an
that
amazing
character.
actress.
I loved her. I loved the actress in Starman.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, yeah, that's right. I forgot
excellent
she was in that
Starman.
one.
She's actually not an actress. She's just a set of eyes that walks around on legs.
She's all eyes and smile
Yep.
She's
and freckles. Love her freckles. She has the best freckles.
let's see. So let's play some more trivia here. During filming in Tunisia, nearly everyone in the cast and crew got sick except for director Steven Spielberg. It's thought that he avoided illness by eating only the food that he brought with him, a lot of cans of SpaghettiOs.
That's why in the scene with the swordsman,
Yes.
he was supposed to use his
whip.
to get, and he was too sick.
He was too sick and too
That's why I
tired,
just
so
wanna shoot him.
he came up with the idea on the fly,
And-
passed it by Spielberg. Spielberg thought it was hilarious, so that's where you get Indiana Jones very just indifferently shooting the swordsman.
Such an iconic scene.
It is an iconic scene, and you see, but that's the thing. How many movies have iconic scenes that were never meant to exist?
Yeah.
They just were. They were thought of on the fly.
Well, that was that Temple of Doom where the two jump out with swords and they swing around at him. He goes to grab his gun and it's not there.
Yeah, that was a nod to the first.
It's because of that.
Exactly.
And that's awesome.
Speaking of flies,
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
Here it comes.
the scene where Indy is threatening to blow up the Ark.
With Belloc.
Oh
Belloc.
yeah.
And Belloc's standing there, and
The
a
fly-
and it was like he
It
ate
lands
the
on his
fly.
mouth
He
and
ate the
it
fly.
crawls in his mouth.
Very nonchalantly ate the fly, but
No, it actually
He did
flew
not.
away.
Yeah.
Steven Spielberg thought it was outrageously funny, so he removed a couple of frames that showed the fly away.
right. So
he
that
did it on purpose.
exactly. So that was actually an intentional edit by Steven Spielberg.
Yes.
So you never see the fly away. All you see is the fly crawl up to his mouth.
So we know Spielberg is a wise ass.
Yes. If anybody ever doubted that in the first place,
Yep.
then
Oh my
Well,
God.
There was E.T.
E.T.
Yeah. E.T.
E.T. phone home. E.T. starts chasing Yoda on the Halloween scene. Spielberg has a sense of humor.
Yes, exactly. That was
Would they reboot Indiana Jones with another actor playing Indiana Jones, like they have James Bond a million times?
Well, I think what they were planning on doing was
Bond
to carry
is
on
proven
the
Time Lord.
yeah. They were going to carry on the franchise with Shia LaBeouf. I think that's why they introduced the Mutt character, was to have that torch hand, because
But I
especially.
mean, literally have him play Indiana Jones.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to see another Indiana Jones. I don't think you're going to see another actor play the part, but I think what they're going to try and do is figure out a way to get that baton handed off to somebody else. And they tried to do it in Crystal Skull. They tried to. And you just, unfortunately, Shia LaBeouf, as much as he can be a very good actor, he's a problem human being.
Yes.
So it's hard. He's hard to work with, and therefore, that fell through. I think if it was like Scott Eastwood, for Christ's sake, you probably would have had a much better chance.
I think they'd have a better time just saying this guy's Indiana Jones now. He's still 30.
Well, you
It's
had the
still
Young Indiana
Nazis.
Jones Chronicles, the TV series.
Yeah, and that was a very good TV
Who was it?
show.
Who was that? Sean Patrick Harris?
Sean Patrick Flannery.
Sean Flannery.
What's that?
There was the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that.
Yeah, the
And,
TV series.
and unfortunately, since he passed away, but was
River Phoenix
not
in the-
fantastic?
as young
him?
Indy?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He was fantastic.
Absolutely. I mean, I was all about it. The kid did a great job with
I
it.
haven't hit myself in the face with a whip yet. Maybe in 2 weeks.
Give him a couple of weeks.
No, I've been learning.
Oh, good.
And I've caught it in the foot a few times.
Okay.
And I haven't caught it in the face yet. That's the next one.
Steel toe boots?
No,
No, just barefoot?
barefoot.
Ouch.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Yeah, but I really liked Shia LaBeouf.
Uh-huh.
So I was wondering what the issue was with him.
It's more the actor than the character.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Because I don't get into that sort of stuff, so I don't
Right.
see. There's that the video.
Well, as a professional podcast host, it's my job to know these things.
Yes, I understand this. Have you seen the video?
Which video are we referring to?
Shia LaBeouf, actual cannibal.
No. I've heard about it, though.
Okay. He's in that, and it's hysterical.
Uh-huh.
I had no idea he had any issues with anyone, so that's interesting.
Yeah. But no,
now
so
I gotta read.
To follow that through, though, if they are going to work on a fifth movie, is that something that you will see as a handoff or some sort of a reboot involving the character?
It goes to Lara Croft.
Yeah, well, she's a modern-day Indiana Jones.
She really is.
Would there be a Lara Croft without an Indiana Jones?
No.
Absolutely not.
No.
There would not be.
I think any character not named Indiana Jones right now is a ripoff. That's why I think there should just be, put him in the time of Nazi, just time travel him with the same actor, within a 20-year
Make him a Time Lord.
Little blue box.
Yeah.
There you go. I wear a fedora now. Fedoras are cool.
And I noticed one thing. When that movie came out, it was Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yes.
Now it's called Indiana Jones.
It was
and the
when it
Raiders.
came out as a box set. Mm-hmm. They did that so that it matched the others. Mm-hmm. It was just pure and simple. It just looked better.
I'm looking through the trivia list.
Oh, there is so much on there.
We actually took quite a bit out, but one that we kept in because it amused Chris so much. Sala sings twice.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Both songs are Gilbert and Sullivan.
Yes. Not lost on me.
One of the first solos I did in college was My Name is John Wellington Wells,
which
is from The Sorcerer. And it was the first Patter song. I love them. So.
Well, it's the classics right there. And Sala does it with such gusto. And I think that's the tribute to John Rhys Davies. That's just the way he approaches everything.
Yes.
Just full steam.
Gimli.
It's my favorite character of all time. Just because you know what you're going to get with Gimli at all times.
He's going to be a cranky SOB.
Yes.
And don't tell anyone.
Right. Don't tell anyone. I'm actually a nice guy underneath. Let's see.
Don't tell the elf.
Don't tell the elf.
There's a long-standing myth that Jeff Bridges turned down the role of Indy. It was never even offered to him, which was confirmed by an article written by Jake Perlman in Entertainment Weekly in 2014. Jeff Bridges is Indiana Jones. I could see that.
Young Jeff Bridges? It could have worked.
No, Ron Perlman.
No.
No.
Ron Perlman, too aggressive.
And I'm sorry. I think Tom Selleck could have done a decent job.
Decent, yes, but I don't think the series would have.
Not Harrison Ford level.
No, it wouldn't have been a Harrison Ford. I don't think you would. With Tom Selleck, you may have gotten Temple of Doom, but you never would have gotten Last Crusade and Crystal Skull.
I don't know.
If
you've ever watched his show Blue Bloods,
he's
very good in that.
Yeah, but that's also a seasoned veteran actor.
At the time, I don't think he
where
was
Tom
quite
Selleck
ready.
in the 80s was still new to the whole.
Absolutely.
Tom Selleck was in Quigley Down Under, right? Which was an underrated movie, in my opinion. It was not meant to be an Oscar-winning movie. No. But it was interesting to see
film.
It was interesting to see the character. You could see him carry an action movie for the most part.
Yeah.
But that's like I said, that lends itself to what I'm saying is with Raiders of the Lost Ark being a George Lucas, Steven Spielberg property, Tom Selleck playing the part, it would have done well. You may have gotten a Temple of Doom out of that. Mm-hmm. But I think after that, it would have all petered out because Tom Selleck would not have carried a franchise, a movie franchise like that. And then so you would not see Last Crusade and you would not see...
Sam Neill was also considered. He might have been able to pull it off.
Yeah, Sam Neill I could see.
He ends up
playing...
Yep.
Him as Alan Grant in Jurassic Park.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think he could have done that.
He could have.
And back to Jeff Bridges.
Yes.
Didn't he wind up in Purple Rose of Cairo with the Woody Allen movie? He played sort of a...
Never seen it.
That's Jeff Daniels.
Oh, Jeff Daniels. You're right.
Yeah, Jeff.
Yes.
No, Jeff Bridges is the dude abides.
Yes.
So
I got my Jeffs mixed up.
You need to see the Big Lebowski with a fedora and a whip at that point. Then
You're
there's
right.
the ultimate crossover.
My brain went to the Fabulous Baker Boys.
The Fabulous Baker Boys, absolutely.
He was
Well, I
very
don't know
good
if you
in that.
have this piece of trivia on there
Well, they
on
can
your
bring
list,
Michelle
but it
Pfeiffer.
says during the Well of Souls scene, snake handler Stephen Edge served as the double for Marion's legs. According to Edge, Karen Allen's stunt double refused to stand in amongst the snakes. Spielberg offered him the chance by asking if he was willing to shave his legs and put on a dress. For the scene in which Indy is face-to-face with the hooded cobra, Edge says the snake handlers induced the cobra to hood with a toy rabbit held just outside the frame. Edge noted that, unlike Indiana, Harrison Ford is not afraid of snakes.
Yeah. Well, that's good to know because that's another scene I would not have
there.
been in the room
Did
for.
you guys discuss the hoses?
Oh yeah, they couldn't get enough snakes, so a lot of them are. Some of them are legless lizards, and some of them are cut up
garden hoses.
Yes.
I don't doubt that.
That's hilarious.
That is movie
really
magic
funny.
for you. What are you going to do? I also read a piece of trivia where one of the snake handlers, a python latched onto his hand. And so they filmed the scene, and they finished filming the scene, and then then he's like, "Can somebody get this off?"
No. What he did was,
he whipped.
He had somebody grab the
tail and whip it, so it wouldn't let go, and the snake was fine.
The snake was fine. No snakes were harmed in the
Though
making of the movie.
somebody
Actually, no, there was one snake that died.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
One
Because
of
he
the
was
bit by a cobra.
Yes, a python was
one
bit
of the
by a
pythons was bit by a cobra. I
It wasn't
remember
by
reading about
something
that.
that anybody did.
Snake on
Well,
snake violence.
That's
on
it.
snake
That's
That's why
a
they're called
thing.
king cobras. They eat other snakes.
Yeah.
But somebody's daughter, I think it was Lucas's daughter, actually called the authorities on the film because she didn't like the way the snakes were being treated.
Wow.
Oh, and The Well of Souls, do you know where they filmed that?
Where they film it?
The Overlook Hotel.
Where
From
is
The
that?
Shining.
From The Shining.
I thought that rang a bell.
Yes.
So the Well of Souls is where they
It was
filmed
the foyer
Okay.
of the Overlook Hotel.
Oh, jeez.
That's where they were opening the Ark on the island.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, when they were opening the Ark.
No, The Well of Souls.
The Well of Souls itself.
Yes, where the
interior.
snakes were.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they were shooting down into the foyer. The foyer.
The foyer.
Foyer.
And do you know what Indiana's whip was made out of?
I remember
Licorice.
That would have been awesome.
Slinkies.
Kangaroo skin.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's wicked supple.
That's different.
Kangaroo skin's neat.
Uh-huh.
And
kangaroo
remind me
leather.
to tell you later about pouches.
Okay.
There's a dice. There's a dice
my
pouch you
God.
need.
I do I?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh my God, no.
All right. I'm a little nervous now.
I would be.
So yes, Indy, why does the floor move? That is a line that, unfortunately, in my job as a building inspector for the city of Rochester, that is a line that has popped in my head on 3 occasions in the 8 years I've worked for the city, where I will look into a
You go
house
first.
and I'll be like, I remember the very first time it happened. I even said it out loud to the landlord in question because this house had been vacant for a long time. It had been boarded up. It was middle of summer. He opens up the door. His worker takes the board off the door. He opens up the door. It swings, and you can see kind of glimmers of light shining through some of the other boarded windows. Not enough to illuminate the room, but enough to cast like a couple of shadows. And I looked at the landlord. I said, Indy, why does the floor move? And he looked at me. He goes, what? I go, I'm not going in there.
Go first.
Asps, very dangerous.
You go first.
One of Solid's best lines.
Yes.
Very dangerous.
You go first.
And I love he specifically calls them asps.
Yes.
Not one of those snakes
Was an asp. Yeah.
Last time
Whoops.
I checked, asps were not hooded.
Yes. But they're Egyptian, so there you have it. They're
Well,
trying to.
there were hoses.
Yes.
They
were
hoses.
Hoses.
Asp-
Pretty dangerous.
Asp hoses.
S backwards?
That's doesn't sound right. Asp hoses.
Oh no.
Asbestos? Asbestos?
Okay,
Yeah.
so it was so hot during the shoot that what was supposed to be a 6-hour shoot, they compressed into 4.5 weeks. And the only thing that kept them going
No.
Wait,
6
or
weeks.
it was supposed to be
A
6
6-hour
weeks.
shoot
Not
they
6 hours.
compressed into 4 weeks.
Wow, brain
that's
gone.
kind of the
6
opposite.
weeks. They cut
Sherry
it back.
Elbersky is not a Time Lord.
That was bigger on the outside.
Yeah.
But the only thing that got them through it was the memory that at the age of 54, David Lean endured 14 months of blistering heat while shooting Lawrence of Arabia.
There you go. Now, David Lean is
Now,
also
how-
in Raiders, isn't he? I thought, was he in the cast for Raiders? David Lean?
Hold on.
Tanya.
Looking.
Tanya Metris, goddess of the internet.
What was the name?
David Lean. L-E-E-N.
Lean.
L-E-A-N, like leaning over. Thank you, Billy.
14 months.
She's searching.
Yeah, hold on.
She's contemplating. She's typing.
Have you ever seen Lawrence of Arabia?
Yes, but I was young at the time, so I really don't remember it.
It's a good movie.
Is that
I can't believe they had to shoot him for 14 months.
was that
You think once
Peter
would do it?
O'Toole
Yes. And Omar Sharif.
and Omar? Okay, Well,
No,
yes.
It does not have him. The only 3 credits that he has as an actor is Lawrence of Arabia, Summertime, and Money for Speed.
Okay. So they're probably just using him as an inspiration. Maybe he was around or something. I don't know. But anyway, we got to wrap this up at this point. There's a ton of trivia that we can still talk about. There's a ton of things. But this is one of those great movies that is the foundation of a lot of other movies and themes and tropes and influences that you can enjoy in movies today. And as we've just talked about, a lot of movies probably would not exist if it wasn't for Raiders of the Lost Ark and Indiana Jones. So go out there. If you haven't watched it in a while, or if you haven't watched it ever, watch this movie and take it all in and enjoy it. And don't try to take it too seriously. That's the important part. But definitely go watch this movie. That's basically the long and the short of it.
I just found the connection that I didn't realize.
What connection would that be?
With Belloc, that he was the one that got the idol from Indy initially, and then he shows up later. I just never made that connection because I really wasn't paying that much attention to it during each time, and then
Once again, we prove that there is nothing you can't find that I cannot take from you.
So I'm on the frequently asked questions part to the IMDb in regards to it, and it's like, and it said, wouldn't the gold idol have been too heavy for Indiana for Jones to carry? And then they were talking about it, and it says he lifts it up quite easily, and Belloc lifts it off his head. I'm like, oh, that's where the connection.
Well, think about the Ark itself was solid gold,
right?
And 2 men lifted it, and it's just
it's probably gold plated.
Yeah. And God doesn't like gold plate. But anyway, so go watch this movie. And then we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to do some everyday hero stuff. We're going to have a question of the week, and we're going to wrap up this particular episode for the day.
Harrison Ford returns in Indiana Jones 5, the sequel of Doom.
Let me see what time it is here. Looks like time for my pills again.
Indy, I see the men who tried to take the money. They're right around the corner.
What do you think, I'm gonna run after them?
Oh, Indy.
What, I'm tired. I don't feel like running after everybody who takes money. Huh? What's that? All right. How you like that? Someone needs rescuing, and I'm right in the middle of my solitaire game, darn it.
Excuse me, are you Dr. Jones?
Yeah, that's me.
Dr. Jones, I have good information to tell you. The treasure you look for, right beneath your feet.
What, are you kidding? Right beneath my feet?
Yes, it says
right
on the
here?
map. Yes, right on the map.
Well, don't just stand there. Let's dig the darn thing out.
Yes, dig, Dr. Jones. Dig.
No,
Let's dig.
Yeah,
dig.
you guys go dig it out. I'm going to take a little nap. Have fun, kids.
Don't miss the excitement. Harrison Ford returns with Indiana Jones 5, the sequel of Doom.
Harrison Ford is definitely not a fan. He's an actor.
Yes.
He does the work. He goes home. He does not get into this stuff like everybody else does. Because, when you see him on the press tours for Star Wars, he's just the ultimate curmudgeon. Just leave me alone. Let me go do the... I had fun. Yeah, I got paid. Good. I'm moving on. It's just... he's just like that.
Not like Mark Hamill.
He's not like Mark Hamill.
Yeah,
No.
Have you ever heard interviews of Mark Hamill? He's a legitimate geek.
Oh, God,
really
yes.
is.
Oh,
absolutely.
He is awesome.
On
He
Twitter.
grew up reading comics, and he's a full-fledged geek for all the stuff he's done.
He's Joker. That says it all.
No, yeah, seriously. I loved when I saw a YouTube video of a panel that he did at one of the Comic-Cons where he got into a one-man show, in essence, where he had a conversation between Luke Skywalker and the Joker.
Yep.
And it was the two characters chatting, and he's just like leaning back and forth as he's taking on each. And then he started getting confused because he was getting so into it. So at one point he's leaning right, but that was the Joker side. But he's doing Luke Skywalker voice, and then he really and everybody starts laughing. He starts laughing. Everybody's having a grand old freaking time because he's the ultimate nerd.
Yes.
Okay, you need to see the video. The cartoon video of him doing that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but there's a GIF of him saying, "I will say it using the Joker's voice while holding a lightsaber and blow your geek minds."
He's the kind of guy that you would do that. Harrison Ford would be the kind of guy that would show up just because he's probably getting paid. He'll answer a couple of questions, and then he's taking off.
No, he's a consummate professional.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just show up if there was food.
That's all you got to do. To
Even
get
if I can't even eat it. You know?
Intern turned staffer Tony was going to be with us today, but he had a family thing pop up. Tony has added a new title. He's now Uncle Tony for the first time.
Yay.
Congratulations.
His sister-in-law delivered a healthy baby girl yesterday. So the Bacchetta family, congratulations. You are now one person bigger, and much blessings and love to you and the baby. Congratulations.
You know, I saw the picture yesterday.
We saw the
She was
pictures.
cute.
She is adorable little peanut. I'm looking at a picture right now. All you see is eyes and nose in a bottle, and that's pretty. But still, so yeah, Uncle Tony is not with us today, but we'll make sure that's his new title for the next few months at least.
Or the next podcast.
Next podcast, maybe two. I'll call him Uncle Tony for a little while.
Did you
You'll
ever
probably
find the
forget.
Wilhelm scream?
Oh, hold on a second. Yeah.
Just so I can figure out exactly what it is, so I can.
You'll recognize it.
Yeah, you'll recognize
It's
it. You'll be
probably-
like, oh, yeah, I know what
I'm
that is.
actually surprised that it's been only in less than 400 films.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
This is called the Wilhelm Scream compilation, and it has a bunch of different ones with the years of the movies and the years and stuff. So
Here we go.
this is from 1953, Charge of Feather River.
This is the first
I think
one.
this is the original one.
And that's why it's called the Wilhelm scream, is the very first character that used it.
Yes.
Okay.
I forgot that until he said that.
There he is again. This is from 1954, Them.
It's the same scream.
Oh, I remember that.
The same recording.
They just use it over and over.
It's still the same movie, and they've already used it 3 times. Star Wars.
There it is.
Empire Strikes Back. Raiders of the Lost Ark. Return of the Jedi. Temple of Doom. So far 3 times in Temple of Doom. 4 times. Howard the Duck.
I want to hear Confessions of a Shopaholic, Scent of a Woman.
Willow.
Which one?
Willow.
Okay.
Willow.
Last Crusade. Beauty and the Beast. Young Indiana Jones. Batman Returns.
Gone with the Wind.
Reservoir Dogs. Aladdin. There he is.
Gandhi.
And there's another few minutes of this. So.
Oh, God.
Okay.
Ten Commandments.
You'll never forget that scream now.
Now,
Tanya.
no, I
We now need to, when we start getting into video production, finally, we have to write something that has a Wilhelm scream in it.
Yes.
It's a thing. It
It
has to be
has
like
to
the most
happen.
inappropriate place to put one ever.
Yes.
When
Let's see,
somebody meets
Poltergeist.
someone.
Yes.
Spaceballs.
Of course,
Gremlins 2.
Spaceballs.
Reservoir Dogs.
We'd like to
Serial
interview
Mom.
you.
Oh my God, it's in the Goofy movie.
Oh, you can see my list.
Yes.
Toy Story.
Hercules, A Bug's Life. What?
The Fifth Element. Oh, now I'm going to have to go back and rewatch
I see
that.
Titanic.
Toy Story.
A Bug's Life. The Little Mermaid 2. Osmosis Jones. I've seen that movie.
I didn't even know there was a second Little
Lana
Mermaid.
owns it.
Oh, yeah,
Lana
it
owned
went
it. It was,
straight
it was
to
their
DVD.
daughter.
Never
A
saw
Yeah,
lot
it
it.
was
of them
it
go
was a
straight
DVD
to
one,
DVD.
It's one I've never seen.
Before
Pirates.
Disney did this thing before Pixar. It was all
Yeah.
of their sequels just went straight to VHS.
Oh, I remember that, but I just didn't remember there was
Yeah.
that one.
Harold and Kumar go to White Castle.
That's hilarious. Taxi.
The Pacifier.
Fantastic Four.
The only good thing about Harold and I have to admit, Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle is one of those.
It's hilarious.
I don't want to like it, but I do.
I mean, NPH just makes it.
That's
Just-
what I was
it's
gonna say.
amazing.
It's NPH. And it was funny because I said something.
Neil Patrick Harris?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
First time I saw it, I told my cousin. I said, it was just amazing. He playing that character. I mean, it's just so. She's like, I find it so amazing that he was making out with women in it.
Well, he's an actor.
Yeah.
He's allowed.
Yes.
All right, moving on. Everyday heroes. Not all heroes wear capes. Not all heroes Wilhelm scream. Who is your hero? Do you know a fireman, a police officer, nurse, EMT, military personnel, teacher, librarian, or audio effects editor? Who is your personal hero? If so, let us know about that person, and we'll give them a shout-out on the air. Please send your nominations to fc3monkeybusiness@gmail.com. This week's Everyday Hero is librarian Lorie Finger from the Manlius Public Library. Lorie came to Manlius Library after 24 years as the Children's Services Librarian at Jervis Public Library in Rome, New York. Before that, she worked at the East Syracuse Free Library. Lorie grew up in central New York and lives in North Syracuse with her husband and their dog. In addition to reading, she loves gardening, cooking, and Renaissance festivals. Books are her lifelong passion, and she's thrilled to share that passion with the teens of Manlius. So congratulations, Everyday Hero Lorie Finger, and thank you for being who you are.
She does something really amazing. I don't know if she still does it, but when she was working in Rome, what she would do is she would set a number of pages for the kids to read. And they would have to read so many things. And if they made the goal, she would have a contest where they would decide what color she would dye her hair that year.
Okay.
Oh, that's cool.
So she dyed her hair different colors every year based on what the kids chose.
That's funny.
And I always said I wanted to grow up to be Lorie. And she said, growing up is not part
of the equation.
It's really not a prerequisite.
And we have a question of the week. What series finale, again, book, movie, TV show, etc., was the most memorable and or satisfying for you, and why? Christopher? What series finale was the most memorable and or satisfying for you? And
it wasn't satisfying.
Memorable.
Memorable, absolutely. The Wonder Years.
The Wonder Years? Okay.
He didn't end up with Winnie.
He did not.
No.
All that time, the whole setup through the whole series. No.
Denied.
Yep.
How about you, Tanya?
I don't know if it's one of the. I don't know if it's a series finale, but like maybe the final episode of the actual season. I think when Ziva died.
NCIS.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, and then Tony departs the show.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
I didn't know she died.
Yeah.
I'm several seasons behind.
Yeah.
It's all right. There's several seasons to catch up on.
Yeah.
How about you, Billy?
I'm going to name two of them.
Go for it.
First, the series finale of Newhart. After years of Dick Loudon owning it in, you got Larry, Daryl, and Daryl, and all that. You find out that it was just a dream of his the character from the Bob Newhart show.
Yes.
Yeah, that was great.
Awesome.
That was a great
I
thing.
laughed for 20 minutes.
Oh, easily.
That was when he woke
His
up.
expression, and goes, and there was these three woodsmen.
when he woke up Suzanne Plachette.
Yes.
I died. I died.
Did you see that one coming at
Not
all?
never.
Never.
I didn't know what was going on with the Japanese guys buying the inn and the golf course and all that. That didn't make sense. But when he woke up, Suzanne Plachette, I died.
Because you knew what was happening immediately.
It makes me laugh now.
Yes. I agree with you. That was an excellent one.
And
that was
a more geek-related one. I really loved the final episode of Quantum Leap.
Yeah.
That's on my. I hated it.
Oh, no.
I loved it.
I loved the episode.
Fight.
I love the episode.
The fact
but
that it made me cry, I had tears streaming down my face when the words "and Sam never made it home."
Oh, that's what I hated.
Oh,
yes.
That's what I hated.
But you're supposed to.
I cried like I was 6 months old.
Yeah.
When those words popped up and Al was dancing with his wife and it was happy and Sam never made it home.
And that's what Wonder Years did to me too.
I cried like you punched me in the face.
Yeah. That was. I remember that episode vividly. And I was never a big Quantum Leap fan. I watched a lot of episodes of it. But I have this thing where I always have to watch the finales of shows, even if I've never watched the show itself.
I do that. I even watched the finale of Sex in the City and never saw an episode.
And you cried at that one too, didn't you?
Well, just because I watched it. But
yeah, well, there you go. That's it. How about you, Cher?
That was mine.
Quantum Leap?
But the opposite way.
So you pulled to the right field fence?
Oh, my God.
Sorry, baseball reference.
I hated that. And he never came. I'm like, what? No.
Yeah.
He was the main main freaking character. How could they just do that?
He had to keep leaping and helping.
Oh, I hated that.
He leapt and helped forever.
It was a sweet thing that he did. Mm-hmm. But God damn it.
He helped Al. It was his last jump, right?
Yeah. Oh, it just broke my heart.
I've seen a lot of the episodes of Quantum Leap.
Oh, I loved that. Was one of my favorite shows.
It was a good show. I think it was really well written. It did a lot of great things for bringing awareness to a lot of different social aspects as well.
And in fact, Tanya, you just mentioned off the air that you're now watching iZombie for the first time. And to me, Liv, you'll find, takes on a different character in each episode because she's a zombie and eats the brain of someone.
And then adapts that person's
personality. This was a similar thing where Sam had to figure out the personality or the lifestyle of the person he leapt into. And it's it was weirdly similar.
One of my favorite episodes of that was when he
was pregnant.
When he leapt into himself is younger.
Oh, yeah.
That was a really good episode.
Yeah, is that the one where he plays John Lennon, Imagine?
Yes.
Yes, I remember that one.
That was the Lee Harvey Oswald one.
Yeah.
Though, if we're going to... So since Billy took mine, I just came up with another one. And this one was actually one that I thought was very satisfying. And it was a two-parter, the last episode of The Next Generation, Star Trek The Next Generation.
You got me. I was going there.
That was a really good one. Though Voyagers was really good, too.
I liked Voyager much better.
See, Voyager, I never liked the show, so I thought it was too neatly tied up at the end. It just kind of quickly slammed together a finale kind of a thing. But I will tell you, I'm going to shift gears because I was going to talk about Journey's End for Star Trek Next Generation and just the whole Picard finally joining him for a game of poker at the end.
Best of both worlds.
Best of both worlds. So that's right. Journey's End was the Doctor Who episode I'm going to reference. And just have that moment where Picard walks in and they're all like looking at each other like, oh, he's actually here, and you're always welcome. You're part of the team here. You're the head of the family, as it were. And just how casual everything was, and I loved it. Picard says something along the lines of, I was quite a card player in my youth, and they quickly shoot to Data and Geordi, and Data looks at Geordi and gives that look like, yeah, right, whatever. It was just so funny to come. It came from the Data character that expression.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would have been mine. Was Best of Both? No, Best of Both Worlds was.
Was it Best of Both Worlds?
Best of Both Worlds was the Borghardt episode.
Oh,
yeah, where Locutus comes out. No, it was Journey's End. It was I think so. Tanya's already typing.
Tanya's looking up.
Okay, on over to Sybil.
Okay, mine are actually books.
Okay,
Good.
Awesome.
I absolutely loved the ending to Ursula K. Le Guin's The Earthsea series.
Okay.
Which one do you consider to be the end?
I honestly consider the final book that she wrote, where it was like the fifth one, where he's a very, very old man.
Yeah, see, I've read through Tehanu.
Mm-hmm.
Is it Sparrowhawk and whatnot?
Yes.
Earthsea? Okay, I remember the brief Sean Asbury or whatever the hell's the actor's name.
The Tombs of Atun is one of my absolute favorite books of all time.
The whole series, like I don't tend to reread books. I read a book once and it goes on my bookshelf and stays there. Mm-hmm. The Earthsea series, I've read them probably 3 times now.
Okay.
I absolutely love that entire series of books. Mm-hmm. And then another one is the Owls of Ga'Hoole.
Okay.
It's a children's book, but it's amazing. It basically teaches you to have faith in yourself.
Well, it's not a bad message.
The Earthsea trilogy was what got me into fantasy as a child. I read my dad had them, and I read them.
I actually had
my very first fantasy novels I ever read.
I read them because I was in an AP English class, and we had to do a paper on a nonfiction or a fiction author. Mm-hmm. And she was one of my teacher's favorite authors. So I was like, I'll try it. Let me read it. And I absolutely fell in love with her style of writing.
Have you ever read Those Who Leave Omelas?
No, I haven't.
It's a short story. Read it. You can find it online. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. When she died, it was very hard when she died.
She's an amazing author, and I just love her style of writing. And it was a very satisfying ending to see him grow old.
And for her time period that she was writing under her own name.
Yes.
Was a big deal.
It is a big deal.
Yeah.
Star Trek The Next Generation's final episode was titled All Good Things.
All Good Things. things. Yes, we were both wrong.
Yes, we were. Well, I had Journey's End on my brain because that was the title of the Doctor Who episode that I wanted to bring up, because it's not a series ender, but it was a season ender. And it was the one at the tail end with David. It was towards the end of David Tennant's run with Catherine Tate as Donna. And it was the Daleks did their thing, and all of the companions came out of the woodwork to help out, and they're all together flying the TARDIS. I'm getting teary just thinking about, because I remember my emotions. It was almost 10 years ago to the day that particular episode aired for the first time.
I was going to be with you forever.
Yeah, and
Yes.
exactly. The music during the triumphant thing. Here's the TARDIS towing the Earth with all of the companions around the console. This triumphant music in the background, and the Doctor's directing traffic, and Donna's keeping an eye on things because she's got the Doctor's brain in her at the moment. And there's Jack, and there's Martha, and there's Rose, and there's Dr. 10 number 2, and there's Sarah and Mickey and Jackie and everybody, and they're all there, and they're all like, "Oh my God, they're all excited." You can see they even let Martha. Freema Agyeman broke the fourth wall, looked right at the camera, and did a squee moment. She's like giggling at the camera, and you're just watching this great uplifting thing. And I just remember being just completely overwhelmed by it. And of course, then it had the denouement at the end, where you lose Donna and you lose. You see
Favorite
Rose
companion?
and
It was like, I think losing her was like more harsh than when he
Yeah.
lost Rose, and
Yeah.
he was in a different dimension.
Yeah.
But knowing that Donna is just there and she just can't remember him,
Yeah.
that's probably the worst.
it was a little
end of a
heartbreaking.
companion
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
It was a very heartbreaking
And
thing.
she's my favorite.
I love
she was
her.
awesome.
Her
Donna's amazing.
Her and River are my favorites.
Yes.
So I mean, that was definitely something that got my attention and always sits with me. And then I think in terms of a book, I think I'll go right to Deathly Hallows. Just the way that J.K. wrapped everything up, and the final, and all was well. I'm like, okay, the kids win, good deal. All right, close the book, set it aside. That worked for me.
Yes.
And then I immediately started reading the first one
All over again. I read all 7 books in 2 weeks. I don't recommend that because they all blur together now.
I actually I did not want to watch them, the movies. I did not want to read the books because my friend was such a fanatic about it. I'm like, no, I don't. I don't want to go on that bandwagon.
Right.
But then in college, English class, the first book was assigned. I had to read it.
I took a class in college that I had to read.
And so I read the first book, and I'm like, God damn it, now I have to read all 7.
I started reading them after maybe the 4th book came out, and then I was one of those people who was going and getting it at midnight.
Yeah, no, I started reading when all of
was.
them had been released. All of them were released by the time I was.
Hey, Billy.
Yes.
I got a one-word title for you, and see if you agree with me on because we're talking about series finales.
Yeah.
MASH.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yes.
I love it. It was controversial at the time. A lot of people didn't like it.
Yeah.
But
It's amazing.
I did.
was so
Yeah, me too.
I liked it a
Loved
lot.
it when I saw it the first
As the
time.
I was
helicopter's
one of
pulling
the
away.
48 million people that watched
Right.
it. Yeah.
And as the helicopter's pulling away,
The good-
and BJ
the
looks down and
goodbye.
says goodbye.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
And the fact that Klinger stayed.
Yep.
That was
amazing.
wonderful. I
Blew
love
my
that.
mind.
I love that.
That
The
was
man who'd been
perfect.
trying to get out of Korea for the entire series stayed.
Stayed. Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh my God.
That
No,
just
there
showed
was-
how crazy he was.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
That episode was perfect.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. I don't know why that didn't come to my brain immediately. That episode was perfect. It was funny. It was heartbreaking. It was uplifting.
And heartbreaking.
And heartbreaking. And
Heartbreaking.
heartbreaking. And
Yes.
heartbreaking. Oh my God. Yes. Oh.
And you could tell the goodbyes as the characters are saying goodbye to each other. You could see the actors saying goodbye to each other.
Yes.
You could see the emotion. Like Loretta Swit was taking the place of Houlihan. Because you could see the way she was reacting. There was no. I'm not trying to evoke emotion right now. I am feeling it. I am genuinely here at the moment. So it was interesting for me. And I mean, it was what 83, 84.
Yeah.
I want to say.
Yeah, it was as my senior year of high school, which was 83.
Yeah. So I mean, even then, I'm sensitive to that. I was seeing that.
9 years old, and it made me cry.
There you go.
So,
But actually, it's funny. We were watching
Father
a MASH.
McCahey.
Oh yeah.
When I couldn't do Temple of Doom on 4th of July, we switched over to a MASH marathon.
There you go.
And they showed Henry Blake's last episode.
That one's a killer.
That one
is a killer. I mean, what a way to, you take this lighthearted comedy that does social commentary so well, and then you turn that jarring, I'm going to put you on your ass right now and remind you this is a story about war.
Yes.
And
I mean, they showed several of my favorite episodes that day. They also showed Quo Vadis Captain Chandler, the one where they have the soldier who thinks he's Jesus Christ.
Right.
Yes.
I remember that one.
Such a good episode.
Yeah.
I look at home down in Pittsburgh, every day there's a channel that plays MASH, an episode or two, every single night. So as soon as the news is over, I switch over and watch MASH, and I absolutely love it.
It's a great show.
I grew up after it was over, but I love watching it. It's such an amazing show.
The doctors in the Army, they say we're mighty bright. We work on patients through the day and nurses through the night. All right. On that happy and pious note, my friends, my family, my loves, my not so much loves, but anyway, all the best to everybody. And we're going to wrap this one up for the week. And this has been Monkey Business, a product of the Mighty Monkey Corporation, purveyors and producers of the Flower City Comic-Con, coming at you in 2019. Love us on Facebook, follow us on Patreon, or you can follow us on Facebook and love us on Patreon. We don't care which, but as long as you follow us on Twitter as well. Do all that fun stuff, and we'll lead you to where the entertainment is. You guys have a great week. Enjoy the summer. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. And as I said at the beginning of the show, Robin Williams' birthday is coming up, so nanu nanu.